Good evening. Glad that you are watching us on TV47 on the news tonight. KEMSA theft. Deputy President William Ruto has slammed ODM party for what he termed as hypocrisy over their stand on the alleged theft at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority KEMSA.
Kama PPE ilikuwa ni 3,000 na imeuziwa serikali 10,000. Sasa hesabu ni sawa, lakini mbona mmebadilisha msimamo wenu?
This as demonstrations rocked Mombasa over the theft of COVID-19 funds. The details here tonight. Obado at it again. DPP Nurdin Haji has given a green light to the arrest and prosecution of Migori Governor Okoth Obado, his 3 children, mother and brothers over embezzlement of 73 million shillings. Also tonight, theories of Magoha. Education CS Professor George Magoha now says schools might reopen before January next year. His statement leaving students and parents more confused over the school calendar. The details here tonight. Good evening. Tonight of all nights, Anne Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi, begins right now. Now, Deputy President William Ruto is now accusing Raila Odinga-led ODM of sanitizing COVID-19 billionaires. The DP says that the Orange Party is practicing double-speak in the fight against corruption in the country. ODM, however, in a rejoinder, has slammed the DP. David Mudoka begins our broadcast tonight.
Deputy President William Ruto has criticized the opposition leader Raila Odinga, claiming that he is covering up for those behind the alleged theft at KEMSA. Ruto says the graft at KEMSA is a deplorable manifestation of the worst public vice that has seen the hypocritical former opposition characteristically change the tune.
The people who gave us long lectures about money in churches, about Christians and church leaders being business people, today they are stammering. Today they are staggering. They don't know what to say.
However, in a rejoinder, ODM is accusing Ruto of prosecuting issues on Twitter and other social media platforms. In a statement, ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna says, and I quote, "We know Mr. Ruto and audit are not the best of friends, but we do remember that when a fake arms scandal happened right in his office, he asked for proper investigations and labeled media stories nonsense." Sifuna further says that ODM has never and will never defend corruption at whatever level. Indeed, we imagine that if any member or leader of ODM was culpable in the KEMSA scandal, Ruto will be falling over himself to prevent such evidence to the public. End of quote. Ruto in his statement says that Raila is working overtime in an effort to sanitize the COVID billionaires.
From telling us take political responsibility, to telling us people must step aside, to telling us people must be taken to court. Now you are telling us, no, let's do a special audit. Things have really changed.
Ruto's sentiments come after Raila in a statement called for a special audit of the country's COVID-19 funds.
Elsewhere, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has told members of the National Assembly to keep off the ongoing revenue sharing stalemate. Muturi says that the Senate is capable of resolving the matter. However, the 12-member Senate committee is yet to reach a consensus on the standoff. Joash Onsare now reports.
The disputed third-generation formula on county revenue allocation continues to attract reactions from leaders who want it solved soon. Treasury CS Ukuru Yatani, speaking to a local daily on Monday, said that Treasury has decided to ask Parliament to allow the national government to release 158 billion shillings to counties, which translates to half of the 316 billion shareable revenue if the stalemate at the Senate over the revenue allocation to counties is not solved this week. The 12-member team is yet to agree on the way forward. The committee is said to be far from getting a solution or reaching a consensus this week. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, while addressing the third National Assembly retreat in Nairobi on Tuesday, called on MPs to cease from arguing on the county revenue standoff and let the Senate solve the stalemate.
Wait for it to come to your house. For the time being, I think you are just being Normans there, because you will have an opportunity to deal with it yourself in the National Assembly. So don't bother going to help anybody there. In fact, they don't even need your help at all. They are up to the task.
A section of members of the National Assembly have been accusing Senate to have failed to follow the Constitution in finding a solution in resolving the revenue formula standoff. Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, who is a member of the 12-member Senate committee, says he is optimistic of a solution from the committee. His sentiments were echoed by Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika, who is also a member of the committee. Senate is set to meet once the committee finds a solution to the stalemate. Josh Onsare, TV47.
Thank you, Josh Onsare, for that report. Moving on, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Haji, has ordered for the arrest and prosecution of Migori Governor Okoth Obado. Obado, his 4 children and other family members, among others, were accused of embezzlement of over 93 million shillings. DPP Haji, in a press statement this evening, said the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission commenced investigations following intelligence report on allegations of gross misappropriation of public funds by Governor Obado through designated proxies. DPP said and is accusing the county boss of receiving a total amount of more than 73 million shillings. Moving on, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha now says schools may be reopened before January next year. The statement now bringing more uncertainty to reopening of schools. Noreen Nanlok has the details.
Speaking in Migori County while assessing the level of preparedness in the higher learning institutions in the county, Health Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has hinted that with the coming down of COVID-19 infections in the country, schools might reopen before January as earlier anticipated.
Because we are aware the virus is starting to look like it is going to stabilize. That is good news. And so we continue to be sure that our children remain safe whenever they return. We had said, even for these colleges that were meant to open in September, at the opening then, but should the situation change, we shall be ready and willing to look at the scenario once again.
The move now appears to be puzzling parents and students even more, as the government had previously stated that schools could reopen in September before altering its stand to next year. Yesterday, CS Magoha hinted that students from TVET institutions will not return to school soon, a move that has cast doubt on many and put them at a crossroad. However, the Ministry of Health says discussions on school reopening not only need heavy consultation, but also protocols put in place.
Protocols have also to be developed, if indeed that is to happen. And I can tell you that these discussions are ongoing. Hopefully we will be getting some direction or decision on what is going to be done, not only in the area of schools, but some of the other containment measures that are in place.
Kenyans are currently awaiting President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech this week to see if he will order the reopening of schools in the country. Nanok Lauren, TV47.
Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to address the nation any day as from tomorrow, with many Kenyans grappling with questions of whether or not COVID-19 guidelines will be relaxed as COVID-19 infections are seemingly going down. Zainab Mohammed now reports.
As Kenyans await the presidential address on the COVID-19 pandemic, things are seemingly different from the 27th of July when the head of state extended most of the COVID-19 containment measures. The number of COVID-19 cases seemingly going down by the day.
We apologize for that hitching as far as that story is concerned. Elsewhere, patients in Nairobi are already feeling the pinch of the doctor's strike that has entered the 5th day, with most patients forced to seek medical attention from other hospitals. The Kenya Medical Association has, however, maintained that the strike will continue until their demands are met. Eli Logova reports.
Health services in Nairobi County continue to be paralyzed for the 5th day running as doctors down their tools. The situation has left scores of patients wondering their next move. A spot check at some of the hospitals in the city shows the dire situation that many patients are going through. Most patients are forced to seek medical attention from private hospitals and dispensaries whose cost is not friendly to their pockets. At Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital in Kayole and Pumwani Maternity Hospital, new patients are not admitted since there are no doctors to attend to them. And for the ones who are admitted, relatives and close family members are not allowed to visit them. The Kenya Medical Association has maintained its stand on the doctor strike a day after meeting the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, a meeting that did not bear fruits. The doctors have tabled their grievances and want them implemented before resuming normal services in the city.
It's unfortunate that if that is not sorted out today, we shall be escalating the strike from tomorrow. We might possibly hit the streets. Hii ni mpaka mwisho. It's the four of many.
Eli Logova, TV47.
You're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. Remember, you can be part of this broadcast. Send us a message on 22047. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. Moving on, one of the bodies of those who died at an accident at Kaburengu Trading Center along Eldoret-Webuye Highway is yet to be identified. Mike Agwongo tells us more.
It is a day after a road tragedy that claimed 8 lives at Kaburengu Trading Center in Kakamega County, while 17 others were left critically injured. Out of the 8 bodies that were received, 1 is yet to be identified.
Out of the 7 that received from the scene, those who died at the scene, we've been able to identify 6. So far we have 1 whom we are yet to identify.
At Webuye Referral Hospital, some of the victims have narrated their ordeal.
Hiyo lori ilikuwa speed sana. Sasa hata sisi kaanza kuhangaika, tunashinda tuende upande gani kwa sababu hiyo lori ilikuwa inakuja ikiumba yumba. Hata mimi mwenyewe sikukimbia. Hiyo lori ilikuwa ni face. Niliona kitu kama kisa safari moja tu. Nikaona tena mwangaza. Nikawa nimelala chini. Mwenye nilikuwa naye tayari alikuwa amekongwa, ameshakufa.
Ilikuwa mwendo wa karibu saa 8 hivi. Sasa ndio nilikuwa nimefika kwa soko, nilikuwa napanga misiko yangu nianze kuuza. Sasa hiyo harakati nikasikia makelele. Wakati nilienuka hivi kuangalia, kumbe ni lori lose control. Na muda sio muda ilinifikia.
Nilikuwa nimekaa nilikuwa nachoma mahindi. Na nikaona tu trailer ilikuwa imetoka huko mbio. Harakati ya kukimbia na hii trailer ikanikonga. Kwa nimeketi hapo chini. Sasa kutoka hapo sikuwa nafahamu nilijikuta kama nikapo.
They say the center has become a hotspot, urging Kakamega County government to relocate them. They have appealed to the government to intervene and help in paying hospital bills.
Sasa kwa tunaomba serikali kama inawezekana, kuna nafasi ambayo imepaki pale nyuma ya flyover. Ningeomba ya kwamba watu wote wa soko ya Kabrengo waende wawekwe pale mahali hiyo nafasi ambayo imebaki nyuma ya Kabrengo, nyuma ya flyover, watu wote waingizwe kule ndani.
Kulingana vile nimeumia, sidhani kama nitakuwa kwa nafasi mzuri ya kutafuta vile nilikuwa nikitafuta hapa awali. Kwa hivyo naomba hapo serikali nisaidie.
Webuye Referral Hospital Medical Superintendent Simon Kisaka says the hospital received 14 victims and one of them succumbed while receiving treatment.
We received 14 casualties during the accident, and unfortunately we lost one in theater. So currently we have 13 in the wards and they are stable. Out of the 13, 7 are male, 5 are female, out of which one of them is expectant, and both the mother and the child are doing well.
Reporting for TV47 from Webuye, Bungoma County, I'm Mike Kagwango.
Now, the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee has ordered for a comprehensive forensic audit on the use of COVID-19 billions of shillings within 60 days. This comes as National Assembly House leadership promised that Parliament will put to task the relevant authorities to ensure accountability on the COVID-19 funds. Our Parliamentary Affairs reporter Elizabeth Mutuku now reports.
Speaking while opening the third National Assembly Leadership Retreat, Speaker Justin Muturi says that the Parliament will probe the graft at the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency KEMSA.
Our committees are still working, and therefore you have seen even cabinet secretaries and other leaders of other bodies being invited to appear before committees. I'm avoiding the one summoned because it doesn't get to that. But they are invited to go to the committees, and just this week, I am very sure, if you check, you will find that the Public Investments Committee, while considering the audit of some of those organizations, will be dealing with them. And if there are issues that may arise, which could be of current nature, will be dealt with at the committee level.
House Speaker Justin Muturi has challenged oversight authorities EACC and DCI to investigate the KEMSA scandal without blaming Parliament for their failure.
Yeah, it's only requests and orders for either special audit or full audit, whatever. But ordinarily, those institutions do not require authority of Parliament because the laws that anchor them, indeed, the Auditor General's role is already in the Constitution. The EACC, they have enabling legislation. They don't require authority of Parliament. They can do it on their own motion. Yes.
Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee has ordered for a comprehensive forensic audit on the use of COVID-19 billions within 60 days. The committee, chaired by Uguncha MP Opiyo Wandayi, noted that only a forensic audit by the Auditor General can expose any impropriety of COVID-19 cash. National Assembly Majority Leader Amos Kimunya saying that the House will ensure that culprits are brought to book.
The ideal report of any inquiry or oversight initiative should include what legislative amendments are required to cure the problem that has been identified or prevent its recurrence in the future.
National Assembly Minority Leader and ODM Chairman John Badi now says categorically that ODM party won't defend and protect anyone who has been involved in looting the COVID-19 funds.
We didn't come out to defend Okoth Obado, the governor for Migori. We didn't come out to defend Ojamong. And ODM is not going to defend anyone. If after investigation, and it is discovered that some of our members or any Kenyan is involved in the issues of KEMSA, and I want to be very candid there, If there are some Kenyans who decided to make themselves rich out of this, they are on their own.
Minority Leader John Badi says no member of parliament should defend the executive on matters corruption. Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee estimates that government has received over 250 billion shillings for use in fight against the coronavirus pandemic.
Even as leaders and Kenyans continue to condemn the alleged misappropriation of COVID-19 funds, now all eyes are fixed on the relevant authorities to see whether justice is served. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Nairobi.
Thank you, our Parliamentary Affairs reporter Elizabeth Mutuku, for that report. You are watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. 20 minutes past 9 p.m. Time for us to take a short break. But you can be part of this discussion, this broadcast. Send us a message on 22047. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. We'll be back with more news after this break. Stay tuned. TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. Thank you for choosing to stay with us here on the county's television. Moving on. The burial of a suspected Mungiki Central Region boss took less than 10 minutes after police chased away mourners in Maragua town in Murang'a County. Residents of Maragua town had to watch from a distance as there was heavy police presence surpassing the mourners.
The burial of Samuel Mwangi in Njoki was marked by heavy presence of police. The main entry points of Maragua town in Murang'a County were also barricaded with anti-riot police mounting roadblocks. Security officers camped at the area after allegations that an ex-supreme leader of Mungiki sect will visit the area to offer his message of condolences to the bereaved family. Until his demise, the late Samuel Mwangi was a businessman at Maragua town. Last year, it is alleged that the deceased daughter, who died mysteriously, was buried by members touted to belong to an outlawed sect, a claim the family dismissed. Locals, however, criticized the police for denying them a chance to conduct a proper burial for a man they said they had grown to know and respect.
Ametulea tukiwa kama watoto yake. Kwanza mimi nilikuwa ananiita mama juu mimi nilikuwa naitwa kama msichana yake na nilikuwa ninamheshimu sana. Sasa kitu yenye imenistua ni masisi. Sikuwa nimetarajia hivi, nimeona leo na hatumjui hivyo. Masisi hata hakutolewa kwa gari. Amechukuliwa akawekwa kwa nini? Si watu wao wanapea mtu the last respect nini kuliko tena mtu akisema mambo ya mtu anafuatilia, anamjua vizuri. Nyingine hiyo watu waduthi wakikuja majisi hata kuvuguswa kama ubwa.
According to Peter Murigi, chairman of Madareni Residents Association, said they were angry that the burial was conducted in such haste, yet the deceased did not die from COVID-19.
Mazishi tukaambiwa ati mazishi ni watu 15, tukashindwa mazishi. Si mtu amegonjeka COVID, si mtu amefanya nini, lakini hiyo kitu ya leo ilisemekana Mwangi alikuwa Mungeke. Na sisi kama watu wa Maragua tunataka kujua wao walikuwa wanasema ni wa Mungeke ni akina nani. Mwangi alikuwa tunataka kujua Mwangi alikuwa kikundi gani. Mwangi alikuwa chairman wa wapi. Na sisi swali yetu tunataka heshima, na siku nyingine tukipatikana na watu kama hao tupatiwe heshima yetu, tupumzisha watu.
Nanok Lauren, TV47.
Now, former Likoni Member of Parliament Masood Mwahima died last evening and was buried this afternoon. Mwahima, who also served as a mayor of Mombasa, died at the age of 78 after battling with diabetes. President Uhuru Kenyatta has sent a message of condolences to the family, saying that he will be remembered as an elder statesman, witty leader, and a grassroots mobilizer.
Allahu Akbar. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم تقبل.
We continue to incorporate some.
Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to address the nation any day from tomorrow, with many Kenyans grappling with questions of whether or not COVID-19 guidelines will be relaxed. This as COVID-19 infections are seemingly going down. Zainab Mohammed has the details.
As Kenyans await the presidential address on the COVID-19 pandemic, things are seemingly different from the 27th of July when the head of state extended most of the COVID-19 containment measures. The number of COVID-19 cases seemingly going down by the day. According to statistics from the Ministry of Health, as of 2 weeks ago on the 12th of July, the country recorded a total of 679 cases in a period of 24 hours. The number dropping significantly as of the 18th of this month to just 271 cases in a similar period. The country today recording 246 cases. And if the president's previous remarks are anything to go by, there are expectations of a relaxation in COVID-19 containment measures due to the sloping curve in the country. The Ministry of Health also signaling the expectations on the head of state's address in giving the direction to which the country will take.
Hopefully we will be getting some direction or decision on what is going to be done, not only in the area of schools, but some of the other containment measures that are in place. Remember that we are now approaching almost the 1 month extension of the curfew, so we expect that the head of state should be making a statement that will address some of these issues very shortly.
A total of 160 patients have recovered in the last 24 hours as 5 more people succumbed to the virus. Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
Now, the promulgation of a new constitution in 2010 signaled a new dawn for the country. It brought with it a system overhaul that saw a new governance system put in place. 10 years on, however, public wage bill and spending have tremendously increased as a result, as taxpayers continue to face and feel the pinch. Our reporter David Mudhoka now reports on how the 2010 constitution has become a costly affair.
It was a fresh start for the country as the then President Mwai Kibaki led the nation at Uhuru Park to promulgate a new constitution on 27th August 2010. A sense of optimism swept across the country as 68.6% of Kenyans at the time overwhelmingly threw their weight behind the Yes campaign in a quest to bring on board the new constitution. But little thought was given to the financial implication that the constitution will have on the taxpayer. Even protests by opponents during the constitution-making process on the expenses that will be incurred in implementing the constitution seemed to fall on deaf ears. Parallel to the existing national government, the constitution paved the way to a devolved governance system. This created new positions, including 47 governors and their deputies, 67 senators, as well as women representatives. Similarly, more than 10 constitutional commissions and independent offices were introduced by the new constitution. Having more people on board was touted to improve service delivery on matters governance, but on the dark side, public coffers have had to grapple with the strain of sustaining the decade-old constitution. According to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, governors pocket a monthly pay of 924,000 shillings, while their deputies receive 621,250 shillings. This means in a month, the exchequer coughs up to 43 million shillings as salaries for governors alone and 29 million shillings for their deputies. In a year, governors and their deputies receive well over 521 million shillings and 350 million shillings respectively as basic salaries alone, exclusive of allowances. Just like the county seconds in command, senators, women representatives and members of and 621,250 shillings a month, allowances notwithstanding. While the Senate has 67 members, the National Assembly has 349 members, an increase of 127 members from the previous 222. In 1 month, all the 67 senators receive a cumulative basic salary of approximately 41 million shillings. In a year, that totals to 500 million shillings. County executives who play the cabinet secretary role at county level and 259,875 shillings each month. A dire public spending has been equally witnessed following the institutionalization of more institutional commissions and independent offices since 2010. Among the commissions introduced introduced or strengthened by the 2010 Constitution include the Kenyan National Human Rights Commission, National Land Commission, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Parliamentary Service Commission, Judicial Service Commission, and Commission on Revenue Allocation. Others are Public Service Commission, Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Teachers Service Commission, National Police Service Commission, and Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. On the other hand, the independent offices established include Office of the Auditor General, Controller of Budget, and Independent Policing Oversight Authority (IPOA). But constitutional pundits have maintained that the constitution has not been an expensive venture, as perceived, while pointing fingers at runaway plunder of resources in the country instead.
Today, we have about 7.1 trillion in external debt. 7 years, or rather 8 years, we've seen that debt grow like 5-6 times. So, and these are money that is being borrowed and is going to projects that are extra constitutional. We don't know where it is. It is not about, it's not going to devolution. It's not going to support institutions that are outlined in the Constitution for the defense of the citizens and for the defense of good governance in this country. No, it is going to, it's basically being stolen. So the call, the saying that the Constitution is expensive is a ruse. It's an excuse for people to propagate corruption.
While arguably the Constitution has improved governance, the swelling wage bill is an Achilles heel that the government has had to grapple with. Ultimately, the burden has always fallen on Wanjiku amid talks of a constitutional referendum in the coming days. David Muthoka, TV47.
Now, in less than 48 hours, it will be 10 years since Kenya promulgated its 2010 Constitution, a landmark constitution and a blueprint for deepening Kenya's democracy that birthed the devolved system of governance, which saw power devolved to the counties that are led by the governors and deputized, of course, by their deputy governors. Tonight, we talk to the Deputy Governors Forum Chairperson, Caroline Karugu, who is also Nyeri's Deputy Governor. Good evening, and thank you for making time for us on TV47 tonight.
Good evening, Abubakar. Thank you for having me.
All right, when you say, and I quote, that the governors go to their offices for the roll call, eat mandazis, and swing in their chairs the whole day, is this a fair characterization of the deputy governors?
I said the deputy governors, not the governors.
Yes, yes.
That is a fair representation of somebody who doesn't have a job description. That is a fair representation of somebody who sits in a constitutional office but has no structured and work environment and no proper clear roles and functions, Abubakar. And that lays the foundation of our bid as deputy governors to say, listen, Kenya, we have a problem, there is a problem, and it needs to be fixed. And what we did, in March, I was elected chair of deputy governors, and we came together and said, it's a good time for us to speak out about some of these issues. And really, when we looked at it, it's an oversight in the Constitution, because the Constitution only attempts to state the functions of deputy governors under Article 179, Sub-Article 5, where it says that the deputy governors will act in the absence of governors. Now, Abubakar, you cannot have 46 highly paid public servants sitting and waiting 365 days for that 1 day, 2 days, 1 week that they will act if the governor is away. And we sort of say, as patriots of this country, we want to be known.
Just to continue quoting you and what you said, you also wondered how 2 billion is paid to people who you say do nothing for 5 years. Deputy governors are now doing a charitable activity.
And I will take you through, thank you. Thank you. And I will take you through that math of how we get to 2 billion shillings. A deputy governor earns thereabouts 740,000 shillings a month. If you then multiply that, we have 46 deputy governors. If you multiply that with 46, you get a figure of about 34 million shillings. If you then multiply that by 12 to understand how much money goes into salaries in a year, that gets you to about 400 million. If you then take 5 years that these people are in office, you get to 2 billion shillings. I mean, I haven't even started doing the calculations of the deputy president. If I put up the deputy president, who, by the way, the office of the deputy president also does not have a portfolio. If I load that up, we get to 3 billion. If I load the staff members in all these offices, the bodyguards, the cooks, the messengers, the secretaries, we are looking at a 4 billion shillings worth of salaries. Now, this is fine for a country that is not like Kenya, which is struggling with a huge wage bill. And we're saying we want to contribute in cutting this country's
Let me interject you at that point.
Yes.
Will you rather then have functions for these people who you say are functions free and less now, or scrap these positions entirely?
And I will start, I want to take you to where we started this discussion. We started this discussion by saying, do we need these offices? Do we recommend as deputy governors that these offices should be scrapped? And we sat down with the experts in devolution. And one of the things that came out is we cannot have a country without a deputy president. We cannot have a county without deputy governors, because they said it was important to have these people as a contingency measure. I come from a county like Nyeri County. If we did not have a deputy governor, we would probably have gone back to the ballot, another expensive process, selling another vision. But because we had a deputy governor, we were able to continue with the vision that had been sold to us as the electorate of Nyeri County. Now, for contingency planning and for continuity planning, it's important to have a core vision bearer who then can take the county or the country forward in the event of anything. But my question then is, are we then not spending too much just for a contingency plan? And I want, Kenyans, it gets to a point, Abu Bakar, that we must, as Kenyans, be extremely honest and extremely candid about what is going on in this country and what can be done to make sure that some of these things are amended for once, for one, and with finality. So
all right,
we came together and said, do we recommend to have the scrapping? Just give me a minute, Abu Bakar. But we said if we scrap, these positions, then there is that issue of contingency plan. Then these are the issue that comes up. Then why don't you resign? Why don't deputy governors resign? We say if we resign, the law says in 30 days. Appoint another group of deputy governors. Have we solved the problem? What needs to be understood is the Constitution. As the people sat down and did put together the Constitution, they imagined that things would work very well, and that perhaps there would be a lot to be done by governor and deputy governor, and perhaps there would be that, demarcation of roles. This has not happened. 10 years down the line, that is a good sample size of years to say there is something that is amiss and something that needs to be fixed. And all we are saying is the Constitution needs to give portfolios to deputy governors. Right now, counties have people called the CECs or the waziris, if you like. Now, some counties have 10, some have 7, some have 6. And we're saying, instead of all these portfolios going to CECs, get one portfolio, give that portfolio to the deputy governor. So even as the deputy governor stands in for contingency and for continuity planning, there is something that this person is doing 8 to 5. Because this is a political office. You are required by Mwananchi to deliver something. You cannot tell Mwananchi, I can't deliver because I am a deputy.
You have made the case for the office. You talk of the governors assigning the deputies a duty. One governor who has done at least that is Loyangapo, of course, of West Pokot, which begs the question, is it that there is no goodwill from the governors in assigning their deputies?
I do not want to purport to speak on behalf of governors, but we have seen some counties, actually, I don't think Lonyangapuo, I want to correct you, I don't think Lonyangapuo has actually assigned a role, but we have seen counties like Meru, we have seen counties like Machakos, we have seen many other counties where the deputy governors are also the CECs or the waziris for a certain portfolio, finance, infrastructure. And in those counties, you see there is a smooth working relationship and everybody is busy and working towards a common goal. And we're saying, can this then be made compulsory in every county? And enshrined in the Constitution, so that it's not an issue of whether the governor wants or not. It is an issue that is enshrined in the Constitution. Even as you're being approached by your governor to run with him, he's approaching you or she's approaching you and he's saying, this is a portfolio I shall give you, and this is how you'll be able to also bring your expertise on board so that we can help Wanjiku.
All right, you make a case of the functions that need to be assigned to the deputy governors. If one is to use Nairobi as a county as an example, a county that has not had a deputy governor since the resignation of Polycarp Igathe as the deputy governor, notwithstanding the shortcomings of the governor, of course, and that is gifted. If one is to observe Nairobi and see at least the county is functioning, one will easily say there is no need of a deputy governor in a county like Nairobi as an example.
Yeah, but I started, Abu Bakar, by saying that is where we started from. That is where we start. Do we actually need, this deputy governors? And I have explained to you, and I will just go through it again, that the experts in devolution think it's important for contingency and continuity planning. Now, I do not want to pick one county, because then if I pick Nairobi County, I do not want to look like I'm going head to head with Governor
you're using Nairobi just as an example.
And the choices that he has made for the county. Yes, I do not want to go county to county, because if I went county to county, I'll need another 3-4 hours to to just tell you what is going on in various countries. But across the country, there is the need to utilize these deputy governors a little bit more than they are currently being utilized. And I want to say this: deputy governors are not saying that we have to sit in those offices. In fact, I want to tell you this, Abu Bakar. I was recently just going through the resumes of the caliber of deputy governors we have. I mean, we have engineers, we have medical doctors, we have PhDs like myself, we have astute businessmen, we have politicians, we have very qualified people who, by the way, would, by their own right, would be able to take on other careers outside of public service. So it is not that deputy governors are saying we must stay in office. Far, there's nothing that would be farther from the truth than that. We are only saying, and for posterity's sake, by the times perhaps, these amendments are made in the Constitution, because we have taken it through the BBI process, maybe we will not be in office. But for posterity's sake, we want to make sure that the office of the deputy governor is not known to be the office where people come and, sit and you wait, and sometimes you're given work, sometimes you're not given work, and you just sit there 2, 3, 4 years without having to contribute something to Wanjiku, who is paying your salary.
All right, I understand we are out of time. Nonetheless, is it not a case then of the power wars within the counties, and more so the governors and their deputies? For instance, even you and your governor made a statement on December 11th, 2018. You issued a statement dispelling fears of a fallout. Isn't it not the case that in other counties it seems as though there is a disquiet between the governors and their deputies?
I'll tell you this, Abu Bakar. This is not a power struggle. We have said, and somebody else just asked me that, we have said we want 100% of powers retained in the governor's office. The governor is the president of the county. He must or she must be respected, and they must hold full powers to execute their vision. However, there is importance to have, there is an important conversation that has not been had on ensuring that deputy governors actually do have functions. We don't want to go into power struggles and all these things that you hear. Some of them are rumors, some of them are actually true, but we are saying, they say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. If you have people who are sitting and not doing much, I mean, it is possible that they could actually sit and, there could be a lot of things going on. So it's not an issue. Number one, it's not a power struggle. We are not asking for 2 centers of power. That there's nothing that could be further from the truth. We are saying these people are educated. These people are experienced. We are sitting on a gold mine when we do not give these people a function where then they are able to input their knowledge, where then they are able to input their professionalism to make sure that they help in taking the vision forward, and they're able to also impact on the lives of Wanjiku, who, by the way, they swore to serve the day that they were sworn into office.
All right, and just for purposes of clarity, pending a constitutional amendment for the specification of the functions of the deputy governor, are the deputy governors, you inclusive, and this could be a personal question to you, sought to be assigned a duty by the governor?
Yes. Now, what we have done, we put together a memorandum to the team of Haji during the BBI, when the BBI technical team was going around, and we put a bid on that, saying we need to bolster that Article 179, Sub-Article 5, to make sure that it is prescriptive on the job of a deputy governor. So that process has started, and we are lobbying hard and actively so that, like I said, for posterity's sake, some of these things are cleared out, and we are making sure that, devolution is working as it should, and it is impactful and useful to Wanjiku.
Mheshimiwa, thank you for making time for us. We're speaking to Nyeri Deputy Governor, who is also the Deputy Governor's Forum Chairperson, Caroline Karugu. Thank you for making time for us on TV47.
Thank you.
All right, as always, you as the viewer, your voice matters. You can be part of this discussion. The conversation goes, of course, online now, and you can be part of that discussion. Send us a message as well on 22047. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. Be part of this broadcast, this discussion, and many of the discussions that we have for you here on TV47. I think that brings us to the end of tonight's edition of TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi, on behalf of the entire team that made this production possible. Bye for now. Tonight of all nights. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.